Hello everyone, welcome to the Commexis cast, all the news you need to know from our inbox to yours. Today we're talking about Twitter giving the boot to even more bots. Hello everyone, I'm Matthew McGrody, the videographer and podcaster here at Commexis, and today I'm joined by the social media intern here at Commexis, Josh Lyons.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Josh. So today we're talking about Twitter's newest bot purge. For those of you who don't know, there's been a couple instances in the past where Twitter has found bot accounts through a variety of different means that they have to identify them and have wholesale deleted them. So the most recent of which was, I believe, in February. They went through, they deleted a whole bunch of bot accounts. This was in kind of the aftermath of a New York Times article that talked a lot about a couple different instances of influencers and celebrities paying for bots to come in, huge masses of bots to come in and like their content, share their content, stuff like that. So that was the first bot purge. Ever since then, and as well as when we started talking about a lot of the Russian sort of interference in social media from the 2016 election, Twitter did an analysis, Facebook, all the platforms did some analysis on that and how it was used. This was also a part of that. So they have done their, I believe this was the third bot purge. Just to give you a couple numbers on that. So Twitter's most followed account, which was Katy Perry's. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
She lost 2 million followers in this bot purge, so all of these accounts were deleted. Josh did his due diligence and checked just how many followers she now has, and it's at, what, 106 million?
Yeah, it was like 106.5 million.
Okay.
So I don't think 2 million's that much.
Yeah, she's not hurting too much on that end.
Yeah.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey lost about 200,000 bot followers. Wheat Thins lost 12,000. I don't believe we lost any, which was nice.
Hope I didn't lose any either.
Yeah, there you go. So one of the things that's really important about this, and Carrie Flynn on DigiDay has a great write-up on this. She talked to a lot of different executives of ad agencies and different marketing firms and stuff like that to sort of understand, what their thought process was on all of these Twitter bot purges, because when we talk about influencer marketing, when we talk about marketing and engagement in general, one of the things that is typically looked at when people are considering an influencer or considering doing anything on these platforms is, how many followers do you have? Do you have plans to gain an audience, increase the audience, increase engagement in that audience? And a bot purge obviously decreases those numbers. So Matthew Kobach spoke to Carrie Flynn. He's the manager of digital and social media at the New York Stock Exchange. He said, quote, "We lost approximately 30,000 of our 1.6 million followers. We tout an engaged social audience more than any other metric, and this only increases the credibility of our claim. Thus far, at NYSE has maintained the same overall engagement across less followers." So basically, the bots had no effect on the engagement of the New York Stock Exchange, Twitter in this case, and basically the engagement was the exact same as you would expect because there was the ingrained audience. So Josh, can you give me your thoughts on the importance of engagement in comparison to just the vanity number of followers?
Right. So I would say that back in the beginning of when social media started to get big and boom, it really was more about how many followers you have. You wanted to sort of stand out with that number. But nowadays it's really about the quality over the quantity. So you could have 5,000 followers for your brand, and while that would look good, you might get a low engagement rate. But it would actually be better if you had 500 followers and you had a higher rate of people that are interacting and sort of engaging on your profile, because if you, as for Twitter, it's sort of like a domino effect. So if you have the same 20 to 50 people retweeting and commenting on your posts, the domino effect will occur, and then you'll have even more people seeing it instead of having 5,000 people that most could be bots that end up sort of just reading it over, not touching it, and just leaving it be. It's better to have more engagement than just a follower number.
Exactly. So one of the things, when we talk about websites, for example, when we talk about return on investment, we talk a lot about how, your website might get a lot of visitors and stuff like that, and we have remarketing tactics and stuff like that to get them back to your website, to try and get them through the funnel so that eventually you do get that return on investment, you do get that customer or that user, making a purchase, making if it's a service, a sign up, something like that. And this is kind of very similar to that in the sense of, you might have 5,000 followers, but if you have nobody, knocking at your door and trying to get your service, then that is kind of meaningless. But if you have 100 people who are coming to you, constantly engaging with your content, and you only maybe have 500, 600, 700 followers, then you still have that solid base of 100 people. Whereas if you had a bigger number, you didn't. Not to say that it's not good to have big numbers, but it's good to have big numbers with engagement that matters. It's
definitely important to have a large following number, sort of to show your growth. However, I tend to see, at least on Twitter, for me personally, that when things go viral and things start to boom, it tends to be from smaller accounts that sort of have consistent engagement, and then every once in a while, the engagement just grows to an enormous amount where you end up going viral. So it is important to be consistent and to come out with new content to always engage with your followers, no matter the number that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a great quote by Darnell Brisco. He's the VP of Accounts and Entertainment for Fullscreen, and he said that this is the outcome I was hoping for a lot of reasons in regards to the bot purge. Do people lose a large number of followings, a big flashy number? Sure. But it makes the job for us as marketers easier because we were already having such a tough time trying to clean that data. So his point is, if you have all of these bot followers, at the end of the day, when you're looking at your data, you have to realize some of that data is going to be mangled. Some of it just won't work because it is not a genuine person, a genuine interaction. So it's one of those things to keep in mind. He also has another quote: "It's a marketing dream in a sense. It forces the issue of continuing to move away from vanity metrics, such as follower counts, on things like follower counts, to things that actually matter, meaningful engagement and sentiment." Carrie Flynn mentioned, actually there's a quote in her piece that mentioned that this is kind of bridging the gap between the perceived audience, which is the number, and the true influence, which is the engagement rate. And I think that's a really great way of describing it. Your number shows the potential or what you think of. People like looking at numbers and saying, wow, big number, looks great. But that doesn't mean you're having any influence on the conversation or you're having any influence on any of those followers if the interactions and engagement aren't there. So one of the things we always talk about, if you want more engagement, make really great, consistently good content that your followers do want. And even if for some reason you have bots following you and they end up getting deleted, don't worry, because that engagement, that content is always going to be there to bring new people in, to keep old people in. Not old people, but people you already have in the funnel. Sorry. You get what I'm saying. It'll keep them engaged and it'll keep new people coming in as well because of that strong base. So any final comments, Josh, before we close the show?
If I remember correctly from school, they say that 5% of, or 95% of your business comes from 5% of your following.
There you go.
You can't quote me exactly on that, but it sort of shows that if you stay attending to your core demographic and your core part of your audience, you'll get results no matter the follower amount you have.
Fantastic. So. There's another actual statistic that I think about from my radio days, which is only about 0.5% of your user base will actually participate in a contest, in a giveaway. Obviously, that's a little bit different if you're selling a service. Obviously, radio stations are typically giving things away, but just something to also keep in mind, as Josh mentioned, a small percentage can make up a big percentage of sales or interaction or engagement, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. So thank you everybody for tuning in to today's episode of the Commexis Cast. Josh, thank you for joining me. Of
course.
Adjacent to the table today. If you guys would like to check out more of us, you can listen to us on the Apple iTunes Podcast Store, the Google Play Music Store, the Google Podcasts app, TuneIn, Stitcher, and on SoundCloud. You can watch us in full on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV, and you can get nice little snippets of our content in your social media feeds by following us on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you everybody, and have a great day.